Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by NBA futures analyst Brandon Anderson. This is your Western Conference post-All-Star futures show. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check out the Eastern Conference show where Brandon got to take a little bit of victory lap. He was very magnanimous about his All-Star victories. We broke down a whole bunch of best bets, gave you all sorts of great stuff in there about where we think the conferences are going to be head up over this last month and a half of the NBA season. Today, we're going to talk about the Western Conference and where we think those are going to end up at. This one, the question, Brandon, is very interesting to me about whether or not the West is quote unquote wide open and about like what's going to happen from a regular season perspective. I think we're going to be in a pretty firm alignment here. I don't think people really realize what the picture actually looks like. Playoffs are a different matter, and we'll get to that as we go along. Let's start by reminding everyone that you need to download the award-winning Action Network app. In there, you get Green Dot Daily. So you go on the video section every day, Green Dot Daily, it's at your betting agenda. You want to find out who to bet on NASCAR? They got it. You want to know who to bet on for college basketball? They got it. You want Brandon to talk about futures, NFL and NBA? He's on there. You want me talking about best bets for NBA and all the news I'm hearing around the league? It's in there. Go check out the Action Network app. Check out Green Dot Daily, as well as you can find all of our picks, our futures. I just put in a Rack'em today. I'm not going to cover it today, but I put in a Rack'em Awards bet that we talked about on Monday with Albert. Go check that out in the Action Network app. Brandon, let's start at the top here. The Denver Nuggets currently have a win total of 56.5. Woo! One of our best bets for the preseason was the Denver Nuggets over 49.5. They look set to absolutely breeze past that one. I've already started counting that one as a green check mark in my screenshot, in my spreadsheets and whatnot. They are minus 4,000 to be the one seed. They are plus 300 to win the Western Conference. They are not the favorites to win the Western Conference at FanDuel. Let's go ahead and start with where we think they're going to end up as far as a record wise. You have them projected for 53 wins. Your range is 52 to 57. So a little bit of a stronger range under. I have them at 54.8. So this number, surprisingly, actually, I think we both kind of agree 56.5 is a little strong, even for as good as this team has been.
Yeah, and I think it's really has nothing to do with the team, right? It's all about they just don't need the wins. They don't need to get to 57 or 58, or they're not going to care about, oh, we're a 60-win team. Really, Nikola Jokic is going to want that 60-win team on the old resume. That's the Nikola Jokic that we've been seeing. Like, it's just, I don't think it has anything to do with the profile. We like their profile. We like the Nuggets. We've talked about them all year. We did in the preseason. Jamal Murray is back and breaking out. Everything is good. We like them. I just don't think that has anything to do with the over-under because they're not getting a push from anybody. Memphis is 6 wins back in the wins column right now, and everyone else is much further. There's nobody here. So when you're minus 4,000 to be the one seed, you are like, you're the one seed. That's it. We're a wrap. I don't remember how long it's been since we had a wrapped one seed at the All-Star break. Like, that's wild. We are a ways out here. But if you are the one seed, I don't know. I guess as I'm saying that, the one thing that could matter is Denver has to believe at this point that they have a chance to make the finals. They certainly would like to make the finals. Does Denver care enough about having more wins than Boston or Milwaukee or somebody like that to earn a possible Game 7 NBA Finals in Denver? That's the only real reason you push for wins.
They would tell you no, but there's been a couple of comments on the side that make it sound like they would welcome the opportunity to secure home court throughout the playoffs, including the finals. I mean, this team has championship aspirations. This team is not in like, just happy to be here. Like, if they don't make the finals, it's a failure. They want to win the whole thing. I would say that let me put it this way. If it comes into that last night of the season, if they win, they're the one seed overall, they'll do it. Like, they'll play guys and they'll win. Most likely, or they'll try to win rather. One thing that I will kind of say here as far as the number goes. So I have them projected at 54.8 without an adjustment on their number. And if you basically look at them, they were so bad defensively the first month of the half of the season that it has absolutely poisoned their numbers since then, and they haven't been able to dig out of it. Like, they're finally starting to climb into the top 15. It's been 2.5 months of great play, and they are just now climbing out of that. December 7th was when they lost to the Mavericks at home. That was the turning point of their season. After that was when they kind of got their shit together and started to play better. And as evidenced by, since that time, since December 8th, the Nuggets are third in offense at 118.8, and they are sixth in defense, which that's what most people are going to be, would be like, whoa, because they were so bad early and they've been so good since. Now, a lot of that's home games, etc. I would just say that, like, if I gave them a bump, basically being like, that's not who they are right now. Like, I'm keeping it stable for betting purposes, because I'm like, look, some of these games were at home and they might not be as good. But let's say I give them a push of a point. Bump them up a point, because it really is a difference in how good that they've been. Now I get up to 55.6 as a projected number. So, and now we're kind of scraping up against it. But even if I give them a point of differential, and they have been without some guys, like some of these were like losses where Joker didn't play, and that's going to impact their number. I would say that this is a stay away. It's close enough. Yeah. Like, I think Denver could win 57 pretty easily. That wouldn't necessarily surprise me. Like, they have 23 games remaining. And so that's 16-7 to get there. That's very doable for this Denver team. Like, they could absolutely do that. I think it's a stay away as far as the win total goes.
Yeah, I think it's a stay away. We talked about the process a little bit more in the Eastern episode, but yeah, I have them. My number for them was about 55.5. And then I just kind of manually adjusted down just based on, what are they going to push for? Like, if you're around 55, I don't think that's quite enough to be in a range to win that last game, to catch Boston, Milwaukee, whoever it is. Maybe you don't catch Boston, but maybe it's still, you could catch Milwaukee, and maybe that alone is still like, yeah, well, maybe we play them in the finals. Let's still get that home court. I don't know the mentality. I don't need money on it. You and I already have our Denver position here. We're going to be looking, I'm sure, at more than just regular season here. I think we moved past that point with this team. To me, the only Denver position that I'm thinking about really, and we're not doing really awards on this, but I think Denver minus 4,000 to be the 1 seed. They're the 1 seed. That again reinforces that. I just think MVP is a wrap. I think we're going to find other people to talk about, and somebody's going to make a push, and we're going to do the thing. But Denver coasting to the 1 seed, I just don't know who else is going to have the case to take it away from Jokic, barring basically a season-ending injury at this point. Otherwise, I don't need to play it. I would lean under if I had to do a number on it, but you're right. There's no real value or incentive for me to need this in my portfolio.
The narrative is that this course is definitely trying to put a scare into voters right now. Like, that's the new thing, is like, are you really going to vote a guy with no NBA titles a 3-time MVP? And it's like, well, what if he won the title? What if he won the title this year? But he won't. How do you know? I just do. Okay. How do you vote on something using information from after the event about an award that's based off of prior events? You just do. We know who's a real hooper. Like, these conversations are the absolute dumbest, and every year I have to deal with them. No, I'll say that. Every year I choose to deal with them, and I shouldn't, but I do.
We're part of it. We are literally being part of it right now, but it is what it is. It's going to happen. We're going to have the conversation because we like to talk about it, and you and I are part of it, and we're going to talk about it all too. I think at the end of the day, the odds are going to swing whichever way. I'm not sure I need to put my money on it now, because I think maybe the odds dip at some point when inevitably we have the media week for Luka or Tatum, or wow, Embiid, here he comes. Like, somebody's going to have that week again. We have too much time left on the season to fill media airspace, including us. Someone's going to make a push, and there will be another spot later. I just think at the end of the day, when the votes come in, it's going to be Jokic.
The Memphis Grizzlies, who I have hated on extensively. It's looking pretty good. Took the under at 51.5, took the under at 50.5. Those bets are all looking pretty solid. The over-under on the Grizzlies right now, 49.5. They're plus 700 to win the Western Conference. We should talk about the Western Conference number for the Grizzlies too, but let's wait and we'll talk about it in comparison with the Suns. We'll talk about that in a second. The Grizzlies are plus 1,100 to get the 1 seed if you think that they're going to absolutely finish on a tear. Currently, you have the Memphis Grizzlies at 50 wins. Your projection is between 49 and 52. And I have them a little bit lower. I have them at 48.3. My numbers, I have said this consistently, are never going to like them because they can't score in the half court. They continue to be terrible. Luke Kennard's not going to fix that. That's going to be an issue for them going forward. I'm always going to be lower on them. I would just note that I was lower on them this season when it looked like they were going to roll up to a 55 win pace, and I kept betting the under. And here we are. Like, if there's one team that I feel like I have a pretty good feel on, it's probably the Memphis Grizzlies. I think I got a pretty good solid lock on this. I was surprised to see you being higher on them at 50 with a 49 to 52, but you do have a best bet on this team, it turns out.
I do, yeah. And I think part of it too is, look, we just victory labbed ourselves on Denver. We got to take the other side on this. Both of us were out on Memphis coming into the year. I was betting against them in the division. I think I was on their under. I missed on it. It wasn't a team that I was.
I'm going to stop you. No, we weren't, sir.
Okay, that's why I switched to I. I could see from your face that it needed to be an I. You were in on them. I remind me.
No. You weren't wrong, Brandon. This is cherish these moments as I have to tell you this. If Zion Williamson doesn't get hurt, they are winning the division. We were right. I'm sorry. We were right.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But the if Zion doesn't get hurt is part of the cap and why the number was long. It's all fair. I would say this. The Grizzlies right now are basically on pace to be a 50-win team. That's good. That's a good team. 50 wins is not a 2 seed in almost any normal year. So be careful as you're like, oh, wow, the Grizzlies, true contenders, 2 seeds. Like those are not all the same thing. Not all 2 seeds are created equal. This 2 seed in the West is not the 2 seed in the East. Those are not the same sort of profiles. So notice the win number. Here's what I like about the Grizzlies. One of my best bets right now heading into the second half. Well, quote unquote, we are in the home stretch now. You can bet the Grizzlies to be exactly the 2 seed. That's minus 150. That's an implied 60%. I like it. I don't see them moving off the 2 seed. Here's the profile, right? Grizzlies are 6 wins behind the Nuggets for the 1 seed. We just said the Nuggets are minus 4,000 to be the 1 seed. So they're not moving up. The Grizzlies are also 6 losses fewer than the Suns and the Clippers, the 2 teams that ostensibly would have to catch them from behind. Now, of course, anyone could catch them still. The bottom could totally fall out, but wouldn't the bottom have fallen out when Ja got hurt for a while, or when Jaren Jackson didn't play the start of the season, which was part of my cap? They found a way. Here's Santi Aldama doing stuff. Desmond Bane has been out a while. They got more Dylan Brooks in place of Desmond Bane. I don't like that. Didn't matter. They won all the games anyway. I think their profile is probably better than what a lot of the metrics say. Their profile for winning games in the regular season is better than what your model says, because your model just doesn't like the Grizzlies and they keep winning now. We're going to have a different Grizzlies conversation when we get to April. We are not going to be so glowing about them. But right now, 6 wins to Denver, 6 losses to everyone else. There's 25 games left. That is a 12-game margin that they can just sit in anywhere in that. 4-game winning streak. Who cares? You made up 1 game on the Nuggets. 5-game losing streak. Doesn't matter. Still 3 or 4 losses away from all the other teams below them. I'll drink the juice. I don't like doing the minus 150 bets. So if I'm taking it, I got to really like it. And I just think 1 and 2 seeds out West, we're done.
I think I'm probably going to bet this as a way to get out of the Pelicans division. I'm going to hedge this as a way to basically hedge out of that. Because that's gonna lose because of freaking injuries. Wish Brandon Ingram had been better. I do want to say something though, because you're being a little disrespectful to one team. You're like, they're 6 ahead of the Clippers and the Suns. There's no one else around them. And there's a little beam sticking out of the corner of the map, as the Sacramento Kings are just 3 games back in the loss column. Like, are you worried at all? Like, look, if Memphis does screw around, or if Ja gets hurt, or, I mean, most people are like, they play without Ja. If Bane gets hurt or Jaren gets hurt and they fall off a little bit, is there any concern that the Kings could maybe, like, the Kings were being chased like hell from the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant now. Are you a little bit worried that maybe they could catch?
So are we doing the Kings now? Are we going to do the Kings section right now? Because I got more on the Kings. I just want to know how into this am I going? Is this Kings time?
No. So let's go ahead and we'll wait and we'll come back around to
Okay.
your question. But I want you to think about it.
Here's the short answer. The short answer is I went into this exercise prepping for the second part of the season thinking, oh man, the Kings, boy, aren't they a team to start fading? They are such an obvious fade candidate. And then I dug into it and actually now really like the Kings. And I have a whole bunch of ways I'm betting the Kings and I like the Kings overs and I'm in on the Kings. And now here you are saying, hey, Brandon, you know who you forgot about? The team you really like and have like 5 bets to tell people about. So that's interesting. I really, truly didn't consider them chasing down the Grizzlies. It would be high comedy to me if all of my Kings and Grizzlies seeding bets somehow flopped because I liked all the teams I liked the right way, but I didn't like the Kings quite enough and they passed them anyway. We'll come back to them. Let's do, what are you doing? Suns or Clippers next?
Let's do Suns because we'll talk about Suns. Let's talk about we're going to just like lump a lot of this in. Basically, we're going to use the Suns as a leadoff for Western Conference title futures.
Okay.
Is how we're going to kind of structure this. All right, let's do the Suns are at 45.5 on the win total. Currently, the Phoenix Suns are 32-28. So I'm going to do the math in my head on what that means.
22 games left. So they have to go 14-8 to hit the over.
I have a whole spreadsheet and you just did it in your head. I hate it when you do that. They have to go what again? Say it again.
14-8 to hit the over.
Okay, 14-8 to hit the over. By the way, their preseason win total, they have to go 21-1 to hit the over.
Good luck.
So Kevin Durant coming in, obviously a big deal. They are the favorites to win the Western Conference. No surprise, just with you add Kevin Durant to a team that went to the finals 2 years ago. They were not healthy this year. They're plus 220 to win the Western Conference. That is the odds on. They're not odds on. That is a favorite currently at shortest odds at FanDuel. They are plus 6,600 to get the 1 seed. If you think they're just basically not going to lose again. That's what you would basically need is like they don't lose again, or they lose like 4 games. So
no, 4 might be too much. They might just literally have to not lose again. Like you do the thing that I'm going to do the thing that you do. There's not that many games left. You're behind by 6 games or 8 games or whatever. It's real hard to make up that ground because guess what? The Nuggets aren't going to go 0-22 the rest of the way either.
Yeah. By the way, to put this in perspective, the Nuggets magic number to finish with a better record than the Suns is 14. That's before tiebreaker. So like if the Suns lose 4 games total the rest of the way, the Nuggets would only have to go like 10-13.
Yeah,
to secure that.
It's not happening.
They're going to finish with a better record. But tell me what you think about the 45.5 projection on the win total. You currently have them right on the dot at 45. 43 to 47 is their range. I currently have them at 45.6. So I have them right at this number as well. What do you think about the win total? And then we'll talk about the odds.
I think our numbers tell the story there. Let's keep it brief. It's a pass. It's a pass. I don't need my money on it. This is not a team that I think cares about regular season. The goal for this team is integrate Kevin Durant, get him and Chris and Devin healthy for the playoffs. That's it. Whatever path it happens to be, sure. We're in the last game of the year. We can bump up to this seed, get a home game. We could play, the Kings in the first round. I think teams are going to be angling for that in this 3 to 6 seed range. Sure, we'll try for a game. Otherwise, they just want to get there. They just want to get healthy to May and try to make a run. I don't want anything to do with regular season stuff for this team.
I have them manually upgraded 3.5 points off of their raw number. So that's basically a 2.5 point bump for Kevin Durant over this last quarter of games, and then giving them about 1.2 for the fact that they were without Devin and they basically fell off the map with injuries for a month and a half. You can make the argument that's actually a little bit light. Like, I wouldn't mind if you're like, I think this should probably be 4.5. I would not be like, that's crazy. I would be like, all right, that's okay. We could probably bump that up. It's still not enough to get me on the over, but that's like just as an idea of where my head's at. The injuries through the month of December and January, combined with adding Kevin Durant, I got to a 3.7 bump. Much of that is because, like, if this was earlier in the season, I would probably be more aggressive, but there's only so many games left. So I can only give them so much of a bump. And I think on a game-to-game match, like also I'll just say this, like a 3.5, where I've got them on the rating, I have them as a half-point favorite versus Denver on neutral court. That's to give you an idea of where they landed at. They're a half point better than Denver on neutral court, which to me sounds about right. Like they should probably be favored in that series, given the talent. I will probably bet Denver, but that's like where I have them located. We agree
Well,
that this is go ahead.
let me clarify that though, because I think though, if you have them a half a point favored on a neutral court, they should not be favored in that series because Denver will be home court in the series. And I think that's interesting. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think the number is about right, but Denver is real. Like, yeah, but they got Kevin Durant. Yeah, well, Denver has Nikola Jokic, who has been better than Kevin Durant for 3 years and counting right now. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Nikola Jokic is just as good and more impactful. And the thing we all say about Durant, how, I don't know, does he really elevate his teammates to make them all better? Guess who I know does that really well? Nikola Jokic pretty much elevates the teammates quite well. So I think it's interesting that they're that close still, even after trading the entire world to get Kevin Durant. They still are only slightly barely ahead on a neutral court, and they're not going to be on a neutral court. Denver is going to have home court in the series. So let's talk about then West odds, because we've done this a little bit. We're going to keep doing it, I'm sure, the whole way. Should we start by burying Memphis in this conversation? Because I know neither one of us is going to be in on them, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, if nothing else, you listen to this podcast because you pay attention to betting, and you can think what you want about the market, but I think it's very rare that you're going to be a smart, educated person about the market and think that it is like we'll say times when we're like, this number's wrong. Like I just don't agree with this number. I think that you should start with most things from an assumption that the numbers are accurate from some perspective. That like you can get there. Memphis is plus 700 to win the Western Conference compared to plus 300 for Denver, plus 220 for the Suns, plus 500 for the Clippers. The Grizzlies are between the Clippers and the Mavericks for odds. Like that's where they about put them, and they can't put them any lower because of their seeding. So just like they're also probably going to get the worst bracket imaginable. It's very likely that they're going to have an absolute, like both Brandon and I's projections essentially kind of have them in a spot where it's pretty likely, like I think it's very likely that they're going to get the winner of like a Suns Clippers or Suns Warriors 3-6. Best of luck. So yeah, like I'm willing to go ahead and
by the way, after getting the best team out of the play-in, who's going to be pretty good, somebody out of the play-in at the 7th seed is going to be good. And then if you get through that team and then get through the Suns, Warriors, Clippers, whatever team, good luck. Now you made it to the Nuggets in the conference finals. Like the Grizzlies could absolutely win a series. I think they're a very matchup dependent team, but there's so many different good teams in the West. To see them winning against 3 of them in a series right now, I guess we're just back to the old Memphis disrespect. Because I don't even want it at 700. I don't know if it's the right number, but I certainly would not play it. I just don't really believe in them having a chance. I think if you were to say, okay, in the West, who are your 4 Western semifinalists? I think you would go Denver, Phoenix, Clippers, and then you would argue about who the 4th one is. But you'd argue about like multiple other teams, and then someone would be like, what about the Grizzlies? And you'd be like, oh yeah, well, I don't know, maybe if they got the right matchup. That's kind of where they're at in the hierarchy to me, and I think that's telling.
So we touched on this earlier. I have them, the Suns, as a half-point favorite on neutral court. They'll be in Denver. Denver is ungodly at home. I'm just telling you, like, I watch that team every night at home. I've seen good home teams. I have very rarely seen any team like, I don't know how you're going to beat them. Like the key with the Nuggets is you're going to have to beat them at least once at home and hold court and hold serve. Like that's what you're going to have to do. You got to beat them at least once, if not twice, in Denver, and you got to hold your own home court. It's tough, man. They're so freaking good at home. So obviously, like I think that they should be the favorites here because they're going to have home court over Phoenix. I go back and forth on the value for them to win the Western Conference at plus 300. I bet them at longer numbers after the initial Kevin Durant trade because the market overreacted. Like that was all of our takeaway. We did a roundtable, you, me, and Joe, and we were all like, the market overreacted. It will move back the other direction. That's exactly what happened. Is everyone rushed in, like the markets were like, oh God, Kevin Durant. It took all that money, and then we're like, and then the sharp bettors were like, we'll take Denver at a longer number. Thanks. Like they're very good. I think you can probably wait and bet them in certain series. I don't think you need to I don't think the best time to bet Denver is going to be before the playoffs because their number will shorten once they secure the 1 seed. Like this number factors in the uncertainty of them winning the 1 seed. Even if we're talking about how unlikely we think it is, that uncertainty has to be part of it, and as well as injuries and other factors there. So I don't think it's there. Probably the best time to win it is like if Denver goes down, like does lose 1 at home in a second round series. Like let's say it's Dallas in a second round series in the 4-5, and they get out of it and they face Denver in a 1-4 matchup. They lose game 2 at home. Dallas has home court. Everyone's going Luka Mania. That's probably the best time to bet Denver. I don't think that now is the best time to bet Denver. I don't think that Denver's odds should be longer than Phoenix's, but I don't think that that the time to bet Denver is now.
Yeah, I think I'm basically with you on that. We like Denver. We're probably both going to look for spots to back Denver at some point in the future. I don't hate it right now. I just think you missed the window. The window was right after the Durant trade when we told you to bet on it. Now the odds are shortening a little, but I still think if you had to pick one, I'm definitely choosing the Denver number, not the Phoenix number. I just don't know that you need to choose either of them. Just because one number is bad doesn't mean the other one is good. Denver, I think too, if you wait and now Denver is, oh, look, they're the 1 seed again with the Grizz the 2 seed. Like if the standings basically reflect what we're seeing right now, the odds won't have shifted a whole lot. But the difference is now it's 6 weeks from now. Nikola Jokic, still healthy and looking awesome. Jamal Murray, still looking like an all-star, not early season Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr., wow, he's on fire right now. Like you get all the extra information of, hey, yeah, I actually still want to back this team 6 weeks from now. Well, did you get it at plus 260 now instead of plus 300? Maybe. I'm willing to sacrifice that margin, that 40 cents on the dollar for all that extra information and health and security of seeing where we're at. To me, Denver is fine, but we'll get a better number. The key takeaway for me is that the Suns are a bad number, and you should not and cannot bet the Suns right now. I think the Suns are being priced as though they have a chance to be the 1 seed. And we just explained why that's almost certainly not going to happen. And I think because of that, because they're going to end up the 3 or the 4 or 5 even, they might have 3 road series to get out of the West. That's possible. And if that's the case, Kevin Durant or not, they're going to have to lengthen the number a little bit. I can't see making them the favorite. And certainly at that number right now, I think not betting Phoenix West is the big takeaway for me.
I think the time to bet Phoenix is going to be 3 weeks from now. They'll have lost some games and it'll be like, oh, okay, they're not. I will set up this way. If you think that this is a super team, if you think that this team is going to be as good as the 2017 Warriors with KD, if you think we're looking at that, if that's what you come to, and like, I don't blame you for reaching there. It's a little bit of a reach given what Golden State had already accomplished, right? They were a championship team already. But like this Suns team, give or take, Mikal and Cam did matter, but this Suns team did go to the finals 2 years ago. And now you add Kevin Durant essentially to a team that went to the finals 2 years ago. I understand. So like, I get it. If that's your position, if that's how you feel, then you should bet this now. I don't think that I think they'll be really good. I think they'll be very dangerous. I even would say that like in a vacuum outside of my ratings, I would say that the Suns should probably be favorites to win the Western Conference. Like, I'm not like, it's ridiculous that the Suns are the favorites. No, I get it. They have Kevin Durant and the team that went to the finals 2 years ago, right? Like, my numbers say that they shouldn't be the favorite, but that's different from not understanding a narrative kind of concept. And so I think in 3 weeks, they'll have lost some games. They'll have won some. You'll have a good sense of who they are. They'll have dropped a little bit because they'll be like, oh, well, they can't get the 1 seed. They're probably not going to get the 2. we'll drop them down. And now when they're like plus 350 or something, you can get a better number. I don't think you want to wait till the playoffs. I think that they might just roll through. It might be one of those situations where they just destroy everyone. Could very well be that. This team could be awesome. I'm very open to that. But I think and listen to Buckets, we'll tell you. There will come probably a point in the next 4 weeks where we are on the show being like, now, this is it. This is when you want to get Phoenix. This is the buy low opportunity.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add to that saying I think you're a little more optimistic on this team than I am, because I found myself kind of being like, well, about 4 times during that whole thing. I'm not ready to go ahead and put these Kevin Durant Suns anywhere in the conversation with any of those Warriors teams. I know you didn't say they were the same. You explicitly said they're not the same. I'm going to explicitly say that they do not belong in the same sentence with each other. The Warriors were awesome and all that, not because of just Kevin Durant, not just because of Steph Curry, who obviously the Suns don't have either. The defensive profile is they're not in the same universe with each other. And I think there are serious flaws that existed with the old Suns team, which is why they didn't win the title, that now exist even more with this version of the team. I just don't see that the super team thing. You're right. If you think this team rips off a 22-2 stretch or a 20-2, to close the year, then yeah, sure, you got to get it now. But I think there's a lot of other ways you could bet it along the way. I don't know what we're seeing on this team to believe that that's what's in there, especially when they don't even know how to play together yet, or they're not healthy yet. The other thing I would add is this: with the Nuggets I talked about, you don't need to bet it now. Wait for 4 to 6 weeks, because just want to make sure. Why not know what we can know then? Guess who you really would like that extra information on? The team with Kevin Durant and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, the 3 guys who never stay healthy ever. We're not going to, I was going to ask you this, but I don't want to guess a percentage, but just listener, think to yourself, what percentage chance would I give right now that 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, when the playoffs start, what percentage chance is one of Kevin Durant or Devin Booker or Chris Paul not fully healthy, or maybe out for the season or out the rest of the playoffs? What chance do I give that? Because it's the highest of any relevant team in this race, whatever chance you're choosing. I don't wish it on anyone. We want to see all the teams good and at their best, but that is a serious factor. And the earlier you bet this team, you not only don't know if they're that great yet, you don't know if you even get to benefit from it, because they might just not be healthy anyway. Those 3 of all guys.
Let's go to the Clippers. I want to talk about them real quick. So they're at 45-2. I have them at 43.5. You have them pretty solidly in this range. I think it's a no. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to go back real quick. I want to go back to the Suns on one thing real quick here. You have in your bets, you've got a lean on over 3.5 on the seeding.
So let's skip that and get to the Clippers and then Kings, because those 3 are all in the same division. And I want to kind of talk about, I mentioned all my Kings positions. They're all kind of feeding to the same thing. Okay. I wouldn't play the over 3.5 because I think there are other different, better ways to play that.
Okay. Clippers, I just assume you're with me, and I just think this is a stay away. I understand everyone's excitement about the Clippers and playing better. I probably need to upgrade them a little bit more manually, given how Kawhi's played. If you tell me Kawhi missed, why? Look, you talked me into the over on the Clippers, and we both like them. We both love them because of their versatility and depth. It didn't really matter when they played like morons the first 2 months of the season, when the team that had all this shooting just didn't shoot threes. That was maddening. I'm gonna lose some money. I didn't bet a lot on the over there, but I am at the point of just being nope, I don't. The Clippers just are not worth our regular season money. We got to stop talking ourselves into this. I think that continues here.
Yeah, I think you could just producer David could just take all my stuff I just said about the Suns and just repeat it all for the Clippers. I haven't even really thought about this before, but Kawhi, Kevin Durant, which one do you want? I don't know. They're both really good. Paul George, Devin Booker, which one do you want? They're both pretty good. I know if I want Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook, I have a decision on that one. You can decide which one you think. It's Chris. But these hypothetical teams that might be really good any given night, we'll see. might decide not to bother showing up that night. As we've seen that with the Clippers, might just not be healthy. This is another team that you can't bet right now because we don't know if Kawhi is going to be ready for the 10-week haul of the playoffs. We don't know about PG either. I tried to get excited about them a little bit because I was like, well, Reggie Jackson and John Wall sucked and they got rid of them. Addition by subtraction. Well, guess what? Mr. Subtraction by Addition is on the team now. And Russell Westbrook, I think, pretty much just replaces the Reggie and John Wall. And look, let me be clear. I tweeted about the Westbrook thing. Like, I see 11 dudes on the Clippers that I would rather play than Russell Westbrook. Let me be clear. That does not mean abstract. Russell Westbrook is a worse basketball player than those 11. If we're having a one-on-one basketball contest or a talent level contest, I'll take Westbrook. I'm not dumb. But if I want to win some basketball games and I already have Kawhi and PG and the guys they have on the team, I don't need Westbrook in that mix. And if it wasn't volatile enough, adding him in and seeing what that's going to look like, no, thank you. I do not want it, sir. No, thank you very much. It's a pass on regular season stuff. I wouldn't mind playing the plus 290 division just because I don't get it. Like, why it's Clippers, Suns, Kings. Why is the Suns number way shorter than the Clippers when they're basically at the same win total? And at some books, Clippers are 46.5 higher than the Suns. I don't understand why the Clippers are way longer. You're probably going to tell me a tiebreaker thing right now, so that's probably part of it. But if you want to play them, I don't mind that way. I just don't need to do it.
I mean, it's in reality, it's that the Suns were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference before the injuries hit in December. And they just added Kevin Durant. Now that makes it a little more unstable.
Fair argument.
It compromises their depth, but like that's the core of this is that the Suns are really, really awesome. And like trying to get, I will say this too, like for me, trying to get a projection on the Suns is almost impossible because I can't exclude the month and a half where they were so banged up. It was unrecognizable, but I'm not going to go back and just take where they were on December 1st and take them from there either. I don't know what the impact of losing Mikal is. I don't know what the impact of losing Cam is. And I don't know what the impact of losing those two together is because there's a little bit of a cluster effect. Like Kevin Durant's a good defender, but he's not Cam Johnson and especially not Mikal Bridges. Those two guys are good offensively, but they're certainly not Kevin Durant. So like, I think trying to get a sense of those is really difficult. What I want to ask you though is like, as we're kind of talking about this, let's talk about the division because you kind of mentioned Suns over 3.5 on the seeding. Clippers are plus 290, Kings plus 480, Warriors plus 1300, Suns minus 150. What's the best value do you think on to win the Pacific Division right now?
All right, now we're doing Kings. This is light the beam. It's Kings season. I think the Kings are the right value here. Okay. So let's talk about the Kings. Their profile confused me a little bit because on the surface, it looks like some similar things to the Grizzlies in that I think their profile is one where we're talking just regular season here. I think we're going to want to fade them in the playoffs for some obvious reasons. The defense is not good. And I think, too, they've been one of the healthiest teams. So they're benefiting. It's shocking when you look at the standings and you're like, whoa, the Sacramento Kings are the 3 seed. But we said it about the Grizzlies at the 2 seed. Not all seeds are created equal. And I think this is a very flimsy 3 seed. And I was expecting to be like, all right, let me point out all the flaws. The health won't last. The numbers aren't quite that good. They're the healthy team playing some of the unhealthy teams. They're a kind of a fake 3 seed. And then I saw all the numbers at all the books who are like, the Kings suck. The Kings are like the 8 seed. We're pricing them accordingly. And now I've gone the other way. The Kings don't suck. The Kings are pretty good. They're pretty good offense. No, that's not fair. They're the number 2 offense behind only the possibly historically great Denver Nuggets offense. That's really good. And offense is stickier than defense and wins a lot of basketball games night to night. Being the number 2 offense in 2023 turns out is a great winning formula, whatever else is happening for your team. So let me give you some bets here because I like the Kings, who, by the way, right now are the 3 seed. They are right now ahead of the Suns, ahead of the Clippers. It's a little janky because they've played a different number of games, but in the standings, they're the 3 seed. So I looked at it. I saw the plus 40 for division. I was like, all right, well, I think that's the play then, right? I think you got to play Kings to pass on the division. Like, I didn't comment about the Warriors. I don't really give the Warriors credit for being in the conversation. I'm going to keep it just to these 3 for now. However, if I like the plus 480 for division, I've seen a 500 out there. If they win the division, they have to beat the Suns and the Clippers in the standings. If they beat the Suns and the Clippers in the standings, they're at least the 4 seed and maybe the 3 seed. So rather than playing the division, here's my fun little escalator. I already wrote this up. It's going to come out in my position soon. 3 bets. I'm playing them all. First bet, under 5.5 seed. So I need the Kings to be the 5 seed or better. This is my base bet. I think that right now we're looking at Clippers, Suns, Kings, Mavs. I think books are treating those 4 teams like the 3 to 6 seed. I think the Mavs belong in the next group down. So I think the Kings are pretty safely below that. That is a plus 115. So I'm getting plus number on the Kings to at least be top 5. They could still be behind the Clippers and the Suns and still be the 5 seed. I think that's probably the most likely outcome. Still hits that bet. Now I'm only a game behind the Clippers and the Suns. That's where I have them. I have Sacramento at 44, the Clippers and Suns at 45. So I have them behind, but right there. And if I like the possible division odds, plus 500 to be the outright 4 seed, all I had to do was pass one of those 2 teams, plus 800, my favorite bet, to be the 3 seed. If they win the division, they already are ahead of the Suns and the Clippers. We're not going to pass the Grizzlies. Please, God, don't let that be the reason I lost this bet. Plus 800 to be the 3 seed, I think, is the smarter way to bet this than playing the division. Because if they win the division, all you're really betting on now is we didn't catch all the way up to the Grizzlies, and somebody like Dallas or whoever didn't do even better than that. I think that the Kings are in range for all of this. So that's my weird escalator play. Under 5.5 seed, plus odds, and then plus 500 4 seed, plus 800 3 seed. I'd split the bet half and half on that as the escalator. That's my wild Kings light the beam case. Have I lit any beams for you? What do you think?
I think I'm going to tell you on this. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with you. Here's the argument against, if you want like the counter argument. It's that the Kings had a really, 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 really good start. And then they've been like not plummeting, but just gradually fading. The last 15 games, the Sacramento Kings are 8-7 with a plus 0.6 net rating. That's compared to the Phoenix Suns, who without Kevin Durant, have a substantially better net rating over the last 15 games at plus 3.8, and they're 11-4. And the Clippers, who are plus 3.9 and are 10-5. So essentially, like the last 15 games, which is not a tiny sample, the Kings have been more of the mediocre ilk. Like, this is the kind of thing is just like the books are basically saying they had a good start, they're going to fade. Yeah. We trust these other teams more. I think that 4 seed is where you really start to get value because it hedges against, you know what, they couldn't hold off the Suns. They made too strong of a run, but the Clippers rested guys. Or the Clippers made a huge run. The Suns weren't quite as good, so they settled in there. And you win both of the under 5.5 and the 4 bet. So, like, the escalator there works. The only complication there, I think, is Dallas. Is like in all this conversation, we haven't gotten to Dallas yet, which, like, again, they're another team. Very difficult to kind of project with the Kyrie stuff. The Kyrie Luka minutes were not good. But I will just kind of say, like, I have the Kings projected currently at 46.2 wins. I have the Suns at 45.6. Even if I bump them up to where they get over, that still gets them in the 4 spot. I have the Mavericks at 43.8, the Clippers at 43.5. I can bump those up, and the Kings still have a much better than 5-1, which is the 4 seed, fighting chance of landing top 4. So I'm probably going to tell you on this. I like this setup.
Yeah, to me, it's again, we talked on the Eastern version of this podcast about in the top 4. I made a case for why I would be happy to bet of all 4 teams in the regular season, Well, I want to back Philadelphia. They're the team that I think has the most to gain by pushing. I think Sacramento is the Philadelphia of this group of teams. Dallas, you got Luka, you got Kyrie. Just get healthy and learn how to play together and make sure both parties would like to play basketball in the playoffs, right? Just get there. The Clippers, just put them in bubble wrap and get there. Who's the matchup? I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll be there later. Kevin Durant, CP, Book. We've been to the finals. We all know how this is going. Just get us there. Oh, division banner. That's cute. Hey, you know who the division banner is cute for? The Sacramento Kings. The Kings would love to hang a division banner. The Kings would love to get the 4 seed and earn home court in the first round of a series that they might actually think they could win. Home court matters if you're the Kings. Getting the 3 seed matters if you're the Kings. I don't think any of these other teams on their range really could care less. Frankly, if anything, I think some of them might tank a game or two at the end so they get to play the Kings. But that helps our bet because the Kings get to kind of move up in the standings while somebody else loses on purpose. I just think motivationally, like the numbers say this is close and the motivations are all in favor of Sacramento, where I don't think any of the other 3 teams really are going to care all that much to make a push.
We don't know about the update of Steph Curry. We don't know when he's going to be back, but I do want to ask you about this. Of these 3 bets, okay, Clippers plus 500, Warriors plus 900, Mavericks plus 800 to win the Western Conference. You don't have to bet any of them. Which one do you like the best? I'll go first while you think about it.
Okay. Who are the 3 teams?
Clippers plus 500, Warriors plus 900, Mavericks plus 800.
Okay.
I still have to return to the Warriors at plus 900. I wrote about this on Twitter a little bit over the weekend. I'll probably do a little bit of it in my trends piece going into the start of the season here on Thursday. 2 things are simultaneously true. 90% of all NBA conference representatives have come from a top 3 seed.
Yep.
Okay, there are 16 teams total in NBA history that have won their conference as more than a 3 seed. It is also true that the Warriors have the best net rating for any 5-man unit that's played 100 minutes this season. They're better than the Nuggets. The Nuggets are very close at second. It's that lineup. It's the death lineup with Looney instead of Poole. The Warriors, when they have Steph, Draymond, and Clay healthy for all games of a series, have not lost. Period. End dot. Draymond missed the game 5 in 2016. Clay missed the remainder of the series in 2019. Other than that, they've won the title. That's who the Warriors are. Now, there's a lot of reasons to not believe that they should be favorites here or like serious. Like they've told us who they are. I talked about this with Ken Barkley, right? Going in a couple weeks ago. They've told us who they are all year. They don't have any depth. They can't win games on the road. They're not going to be a top 3 seed. Their offense is mediocre. Their defense hasn't been great. Like they have 50 plus games. The Warriors have told us we're not a great team. The passability of what they can be is better than plus 900. So even with the Clippers, now I have positions on Clippers in preseason, but that's what helps me here. I don't buy Mavericks. I don't think the defense will be good enough. So to me, this is a pretty obvious bet. If you were going to bet one of these 3, I don't want it right now. I need to see when Steph gets back. But I will say I did this last year where I bet the Warriors when Steph was out because they had to factor in the uncertainty with his injury. When I was like, he's going to be back for the playoffs, it's going to be fine. And I got way better number, and that was a huge win for us. So like, it's going to be hard for me not to include the Warriors. But they were going to be a top 3 seed last year. They will not. They will have to go on the road where they were terrible this year. That has to matter here. Clippers plus 500, Warriors plus 900, Mavericks plus 800. Which would you want to bet?
Okay, so no, I don't want to bet this bet. I will not bet any of them, but I'm going to choose an answer because that's the game. I'm not choosing Dallas. Dallas is my first elimination here. I don't see the defense. I don't see the path. I'm kind of fading Dallas. I like the Dallas under. I don't like their chances to get to the win total. I just see too many ways and go sideways. I thought I was going to choose the Clippers, and then I heard your case for the Warriors. And I don't even know if it was the case for the Warriors as much as my PTSD of last season for about 40 or 50 games being like, Warriors, baby, we're back. Here we go. Shooty hoops, Steph, we're doing the whole thing again. Draymond, Defensive Player of the Year. Steph is the MVP. And it all went sideways. And at some point, I decided in my notes, it's not this year. It's not happening. Sorry, it was happening. They were the best team. Now it's not happening. It just didn't go right. Too many injuries. It's just not there. That's kind of how I feel about things right now. I feel like it's just not happening. But last year, boy, did I ever have some FOMO on my Warriors. I didn't have anything on them. I had no positions for Warriors stuff as they rampaged through the NBA and did all the things that I absolutely 100% believe they're going to, and then opted out of because I worried about the injuries. So I would take a Warriors pick of the three because the number is long. I think appropriately so. I think the Warriors are going to have to be out of the play-in. I think the Warriors probably would have to win 2 play-in games. I don't even know if the Warriors make the play-in. That's what I truly think about the Golden State Warriors.
Wow. Okay.
But if they get in, and I got Steph and Draymond, whatever. I don't care about the rest. I don't believe on the roster. I don't like it. But I don't really feel like I'm losing out a ton by not taking the Dallas or Clippers number. I don't think there's a great value in any of the three. But I learned my lesson last year. If I got to pick one, just give me Steph and Draymond.
If I upgrade the Warriors 3 points for Steph, which I think that's what he's worth to my power rating, if I upgrade them 3 points, they're all of a sudden they're basically on the bubble of the 6-7. They're tied essentially with the Clippers, the Wolves, and Clippers and Wolves for the 6th spot. Any one of those teams could get in, so I don't have them considerably higher. If they win the title, it'll be one of the most impressive runs in terms of adversity that they will have faced, and that'll be very impressive. Let's wrap up by going over some best bets here. I'm going to give you the floor and let you kind of go over these. Let's start with, we've gone over Grizz 2 seed -150 and your Kings bets. Let's go with OKC. You like the play-in tournament at +240 there for them.
I do, yeah. Joe and I are going to do for Friday buckets a whole play-in episode. So you can keep an eye out there coming this Friday. I actually think the Oklahoma City Thunder are the most likely team in the West to make the play-in tournament. And I think that you get them at a +240 to make the play, and I have to take that bet. The Thunder, I think, are really being overlooked here. They are a game away from 500, and I think they weirdly have a similar profile to the Jazz, but the Jazz were really good for a while and then kind of tailed off when people stopped sort of paying attention. People like me, I will add. And now the Jazz are back to not really being good. They're kind of the thing that you said about the Kings. The Thunder were the other way. The Thunder were not good. We expected the Thunder not to be good. And now, quietly, the Thunder are up to 10th in net rating. They're top 12 on offense and defense.
Yep.
Last 15 games, the Thunder are 3rd in net rating. 3rd. That's like conference finals good. I'm not putting this team in the conference finals, but I feel like we're kind of doing this thing, and books seem to be treating them like, well, it's cute story, but pretty soon, there's a team with Steph, and there's a team with LeBron, and there's a team with Dame, and they all have superstars, and thanks for playing, Oklahoma City. I feel like that's wrong. And honestly, the way he's played this year, I feel like Shea belongs in that conversation, absolutely, with those 3 guys, and the rest of the roster is playing better than the rest of those other guys' rosters. The Thunder are pretty good. They're just pretty good. Mark Daigneault, we've always have thought was pretty average. Okay, better. They're probably not pretty good, but they're solid. They're in that range. I like.
You're right. Yeah, I think Mark Daigneault. But you were talking about Mark Daigneault. He's awesome. Mark Daigneault is awesome. They are pretty good. My question I was trying to interrupt to ask you is like, can you imagine what will happen if the Thunder knock out LeBron in the play-in tournament? If it's 9-10 and the Thunder go into LA after knocking him out after beating him in the game where he set the all-time scoring record and they housed them, to then go in and eliminate, like, the absolute just sheer cries that will, like, it'll be panic in the streets of the Thunder, the Warriors. Like, if they knock out either one of those teams, it's gonna be like the Thunder.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't know what the number is to make the playoff proper. I don't want to know. I don't want to bet on the Thunder to go do stuff in the play-in and beyond. Maybe they do. I will enjoy it. I love the Thunder. I've gone to lots of games in OKC. fun place, fun team. I just want to make the play in. I don't know if the Thunder, quote, knock out the Lakers or the Warriors by beating them head to head. I absolutely think the Thunder might knock out the Lakers or Warriors by stealing their spot in the play-in, because I think there's a lot of teams that are looking down there like, well, there's 4 spots down here for us to get. And I think, oh, there might be 3. There might only be 3. The Thunder might already have one of those that you are discounting from seeing. I talked about this too. One quirky thing that I like about the Thunder, their schedule, all 4 games the Thunder play against the Jazz are still to come. Yeah. And I think that is weirdly this huge swing factor for them. If you play the Thunder against the Jazz first month of the season, I think Utah, as well as they were playing, wins 3 of those games, maybe all 4. The Thunder weren't good. The Jazz are killing teams. Now, Utah traded away Mike Conley, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. Now, Utah, I think, is moving towards probably a stealth tank toward the finish line. I don't think they're in the same class as OKC here. Now, OKC, I think, wins 3 or 4 of those games. That weird little scheduling glitch that's going to be maybe like a 3-game swing. That weird scheduling glitch might knock LeBron or Steph out of the playoffs. Congratulations, NBA money and economics. The weird scheduling OKC Utah thing that would never have possibly mattered might like swing the playoff race. Yeah. And it's weird, but I want to bet it plus 240 to make the play in.
We both like Spurs under 20.5. I don't think we need to like really go into detail on this. It's pretty obvious. The Spurs are actively tanking. I think the Rockets are the worst team in the league. I have the Spurs power rated below them. Like, it's not, this is not hard to figure out. Like, the Spurs, I don't think are going to hit 20 wins. Like, I kind of made that argument in preseason about when we were doing the over under win totals. I didn't bet it, but I was like, look, Pop still went over 20 and back in 98 when they were trying to get Duncan, they still went, like, this team's worse. This team is just categorically worse in every category. They are aligned in their incentives. They traded away Yak. Like, the under 20.5 minus 110 is a very good bet. I don't want to go into Jazz. Let's save that for another time because you have the under 39.5. I would say, like, I'm not as like, you're like, they traded away all the good guys. They still have a bunch of good guys left. Like, Lauri Markkanen's really good and they're really well coached. They're really well coached. The last one I want to ask you about is the Dallas Mavericks. You have the under 45.5, minus 122. Land a bit of juice on it. Why do you like the Mavs under at 45.5?
Yeah, I just think it's a numbers thing. I'm looking at it. The Dallas Mavericks are 31-29 right now. So there are 22 games left, and the number is 45.5. Dallas has to win 15 games out of 22 to hit the over. Dallas has to go 15-7. That is a 56 win pace. Why in the world do we think this weird, unproven Mavericks team is a 56 win team over the final stretch? The schedule is soft for sure, but like, why do we think this is? We think this is rating Dallas to be the best team in the West for the final 22 games. A 56 win team would be the best team in the West, and I don't understand why that would be the case. I said before, I think the books are treating the Mavs with. We talked about that Kyrie or the Durant momentum, and the books kind of inflated the Suns. I think it happened with Dallas and it hasn't readjusted yet. I think Dallas is being treated like they're in that 3-6 grouping with the Clippers and Suns. And frankly, they're ahead of the Kings and everything. I don't think they are. I think Dallas is in the next group down with Minnesota and OKC and Golden State and the Lakers. Dallas under 45.5 is just, it's too many wins. 15-7 is too much for me to ask for. I don't trust the defense. They don't have any. I don't trust Kyrie to show up any given night or actually play basketball. And there's too many other teams in the West. All those 7 to 12 teams, somebody could go on a run. Oh, look, Zion's back and the Pelicans are really good. Hey, Cat's back. The Timberwolves are winning a lot of games. Here comes LeBron. Here comes Steph. There's so many other teams. So I think actually under 45.5, just as a numbers play, plus 350 at some books to make the play in. They're the 6th seed right now. They're tied in the losses column for the 10 seed right now.
Yeah.
They're right there. And I don't think that it's that much of a lock. I don't want to bet them to miss the playoffs. because they're going to be in the plane at least. And then it's Luka and Kyrie, and you're going to at least get out from there. I just think we're giving Dallas a little too much credit overall. I like the under, and I might look for some kind of alt ways to see how far down could this thing go.
I have one more best bet. So I've got Spurs under 20.5 with you. You've swung me on the Kings bet, I think. I had Suns plus 185 third seed with the Kings plus 480 Pacific Division hedge. I think you've convinced me on the Kings bet. My final one is going to be the Wolves over. This number is really insulting. The Wolves are at 40.5 on their win total. If we look at where they're at and where they're going, the Wolves right now are at 31 wins with 21 games remaining. Like, that's projecting them for 9 and 12 is what they're basically saying that this team, or that
they're 31 and 30. So to hit an over, they have to go 10 and 11 to hit the over.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. The Wolves last 15, 9 and 6 with a plus 1.3 net rating. That's better than Dallas. If we look at, I've got them projected at 43. I have them a solid 3 wins over here. Folks, Minnesota Timberwolves are good. I don't know what to tell you. They're a good team. They're well coached. All the things I said about them, pretty accurate. Now, Towns is going to come back in, but one of the things that him being out has allowed is they figured out kind of an identity. This team's team identity is a lot better. It's Ant and aggressiveness and Kyle Anderson and Jordan McLaughlin. They're a better team now. I think Cat helps them. I think getting Mike Conley for D'Lo, it's going to hurt them in some clutch situations because of what D'Lo can do in terms of shooting. You can already tell that Mike's helping them be better. Everyone feels better with Mike there. I don't think that Mike Conley may not even be as good of a player in terms of statistically, or if we were to rate them with his age.
Yeah, it's the Westbrook thing I said. He's going to help you win a game.
Yes. And that's the thing. So I love the Wolves over 40.5 here. That they've been criminally underrated essentially since Towns went down. We'll see if Towns comes back. That's getting to be pretty late in the season, but I do think that they wind up going over 500. I like the Wolves over here.
I'll just chime in with 2 quick things to wrap up here. Number one, we talked about Spurs under, Jazz under. You mentioned we got a tanking piece going up this week at Action Network that you can read. I made the case both of those. I do like those a lot, so I want to make sure you see those. I got a Timberwolves bet for you here. I'm looking around here. Timberwolves versus Pelicans head-to-head wins. Not against each other, but who finishes with the most wins. Timberwolves versus Pelicans. The Minnesota Timberwolves are plus 210 head-to-head against the Pelicans. And I think you want to take that bet. We didn't really do Pelicans on here, but Minnesota is 31 and 30 right now. New Orleans is 30 and 29. So effectively they're tied. Minnesota's played 2 extra games. Do you like the Minnesota plus 210 against the Pelicans?
No, because then I'm betting against my own over-under win total on the Pels that I have, right? And
you just can't let go of this Zion team. You're still holding out hope for that hammy.
I want to believe that they'll go on a huge run and take over the Grizzlies and win the division that they should have won. I'm so sad. Not fair. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Buckeyes. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. My thanks to David Payne for producing this episode. We'll see you guys again. Like I said, we'll have a Best Bets episode for Thursday, so you guys can get set for as the NBA returns on Thursday. We're going to be adding Best Bets episodes over the next couple of weeks. Brandon, as you mentioned, we'll be back with Joe on Friday looking at the play-in tournament. We'll get you all sorts of conversations on that. Make sure to check that out. Until then, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.